Pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so at this time, we will go through, before we do the consent agenda, our annual Commissioner disclosure of conflicts of interest. This is per government policy 7.2.2 and it's to disclose any conflicts of interest.
None of which I'm aware.
So I work for the city of Vernon, so you know, and I work in the wastewater treatment department, which I do not foresee any conflicts of interest to come up this year or ever, but in case there are conflicts of interest with and business dealing with city of Vernon, I will choose to recuse myself from those dealings.
All right, and I have none that I know. So with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Looking for a motion for approval of items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is adopted. This time, we will open it up to audience comments. If you're in the audience this evening wishing to make comment, please step to the podium. Seeing none, I'm not in the Zoom meeting, but if you're on there, you can use the raise your hand function. And with that, we will move on to the general manager's report and the acting general manager.
Good afternoon. First start off with a little bit of news. You may have saw that Greg Fisher, former engineering manager with GPD, passed away today. There was a memorial service for him last Friday. Greg was with the district from 1980 to 2010, so very good. And during his tenure, Greg was instrumental in many capital improvement projects, like including the construction of the water treatment plant, the updates and upgrades, and then the schedule for pump station. Very involved in water quality. And I think Greg also has PUD commissioner back as well. That was retired. I worked with Greg, he's a good man and he's passionate about water quality.
Excuse me, Kevin, did you say there were memorials already been?
It happened last Friday.
Happened last Friday.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just,
No, it's this Friday.
that's what I thought.
That's right.
It's this Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it wrong. Okay. January 12th, you're right. Next week. And then with the wintry weather coming up, cold, later this week, we thought it would be a good time to test our third weather work system for our employees tomorrow. When driving conditions become too adverse to travel more safely, we anticipate a delayed start for the workday or other emergencies. We can alert staff via their phone, the text, or email. So hopefully we won't have to implement it, but work that we are prepared. Finally, I think Mark's going to do the engineering report, so I don't want to steal his thunder. I'll let him report on the projects. So that's all. Well,
No, we do have one part of the meeting tomorrow. Are you attending? Are you planning on going to the reception or? I know you're going to the reception, but.
All right, you're up.
I'll start. Brian Henshaw said this only needed to be a year-to-date update, so.
As long as
We're good.
slides.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Vision, values, you all know that. So this is gonna be really dry. I'm just gonna run through it. College Way Urban to Venture. This is a project that is scheduled for construction beginning in the fall of 2024 into 2025. We've got our survey complete and we're working on a base map in our alignment. Skagit Country Club project, Eagle Drive is already out for construction. You've awarded that already. The Northwest Burlington Pipe Replacement Project. This is a project in Northern Burlington that had mostly been surveyed. and designed. We're wrapping up the updating of the design and putting out construction documents on that. The West Mount Vernon pipeline replacement, the contract award is on the agenda tonight. So what I want to highlight here is the projects, our pipe replacement projects for 2024 are mostly out that, you know, they're in the chute where we can't back out of them now. So that we're meeting our capital demand there. East Division, we are surveying that presently. The Riverview Lanes service repair, that is complete. And then East Victoria, we have scheduled for survey later in the year, as well as the Ball Road. So we're doing well on those. Francis Road pipe replacement, that's under the county's control, but Josh is helping work out a new interlocal to update the costs. It's been about probably 3 years since the original was formed for that. The county is also engaging in the last phase of their Francis Road repair. So we're helping out with that, but we don't foresee anything till 2025. I will skip now. Unless you want more information on
Is that fully funded, the Francis Road?
No.
No.
No,
Cause there's like 6 phases to that or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like phase 3.
Yeah, so the phase 3, I think they're funded through design, but not construction.
Okay.
That usually takes a couple of years. We're still waiting to get Francis 1 constructed.
Yeah.
So those are kind of our highlights of our pipe replacement program. The water treatment plant generator, that's under contract, and design kickoff has commenced. Is Fox here? The water treatment plant skater replacement, we had this on our work list as a support role for engineering, but I think Jamie ran with it and it's done, right? Yeah, so good job to operations there for taking that one. The disinfection study, there's one seasonal sample that is being taken and analyzed yet. But that project is well on track for completion, having a design and a decision by the end of the year for how we're going to do our ultimate disinfection. Let's see, the water treatment plant flocculators in the basin. So you're familiar with the settlement out there. We're pretty concerned about what was going on. We've looked at, Mark Semra has been looking at the movement, the specific movement. And according to the time of the year, it seems almost like it's oscillating a little bit with groundwater. It seems to move and then come back. So we're keeping an eye on it, and we're going to put a scope of services out just to, confirm what we're seeing, or figure out if we need more analysis on it. The W1 pump system, this is to replace the panorama pumps and put commercial fire flow into that system, 1500 GPM. But that plan is 60% drafted. The 60% draft is complete, and so that is also on track. One thing I forgot to mention, our fish passage projects. So the SR9, SR20 projects are both on the street right now, and we anticipate awarding those at the next commission meeting. So that's great. We'll have to talk a little bit about budget on those because we've had some increased costs. I don't know if it's significant, but we'll put it in the award at that time. The Alger project, we've been looking at different alignments on that one, and right now we're on the east side of the project. We are anticipating likely doing a bypass as opposed to doing a directional drill under the on-ramp, northbound on-ramp, just because we intend to keep the pipe and the casing that's under the existing I-5 and then do some more work on the other side. So this is just a more efficient way of putting in what we need to maintain our system. That makes sense. Let's see. So getting back to this. The Judy to Sedro-Woolley transmission line, top of hill, late last year and early this year before budgeting, there was an area where we were concerned that water was leaking out of that section of pipe and into a natural lowland and collecting there. Some of our operators went out and got chlorine samples and we thought, this is the worst thing ever, it's leaking. But after some more investigation, we figured out that there was a valve that was partially open. And so we've since closed that valve, and the water has dried up. And we feel more comfortable with possibly letting this section of pipe slide a little bit longer because of its integrity. I think what we'll also do, Mike, we didn't talk about this with you, but Mark and I were just kind of spitballing. You know, maybe there'll be an opportunity for us to just shut off that section from the top to the bottom of the hill and just see if it holds water and pressure and, you know, test it that way. Pretty inexpensive way of going about it. So let's see, other things on this page that we need to get to are the seismic resilience project. We have a good scope that Jay put together for some seismic valves up at the clear wells, and we need to take that across the finish line this year. And then the PUD campus construction is going well. I don't know if you guys have been out there. You can see the aqua room forming up. The pad has been poured, and so everything has been going along on that project fairly well. Let's see. The community solar project, we are in negotiations with the contractor on that for mostly access before that will get complete and go to contract. So I'm going to go to, are there any questions on our capital plans so far, capital projects? Okay. This is from our work plan. And there's just a couple of things I want to highlight here. The coordinated Fidalgo Island water system transfer, mostly complete. I mean, it's complete. Bill did a great job on that. We are working on assembling easements and other documentation to turn over to the city of Anacortes for their records. The water system plan, Mark's been doing a good job on that. We've got some cleanup work before we can, we have some drafting. We update our drafts of some chapters, and we expect to have a draft assembled for your review in spring, in a couple months, on the water system plan. We'd hoped to get it done a little bit earlier, but we're going to push it to spring. The infrastructure replacement goals court helped us out with that for 2024 budget, and we're going to see a refinement of those sorts of things for the 2025 budget. They've helped us identify pipes that are leaking and are more cost effective or should be replaced as opposed to just a straight age criteria. Let's see. On the contract, well, I want to talk about the development cross connections section here. This generally in engineering, in the development team in particular, it seems as if, well, development seems to have slowed, and there's a little bit of a lower impact to the workload in that area. And so as we're looking at this, we're also looking at ways to keep our staff at a reduced level. So when Brandt left, we did not hire an inspector to replace his position. And we have since provided an opportunity for internal staff to fill that position. They came from the development side, and because the development is a little quiet right now, we've been able to fill that void with existing staff. Mike Demers and Courtney have both been providing a little bit more outdoor field work in their jobs to fill that, and we're able to stay light and keep that and not need to fill that position. But at some point when development picks up, we will likely. So anyway, some of those internal kind of things we want to do revolve around the staffing level and our internal operation. I think that's it. Unless you have questions. Do you want, the only other one I had was the Judy Reservoir Water Treatment Plant stormwater permitting. This is our stormwater permit for the Judy Reservoir and the lagoons and where we sampled. So we're working through that with Wendy. And that's my update for now.
Any questions? All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
So at this time, looks like we are going to look at executing an amendment to the Sedro-Woolley Fire Department, Sedro-Woolley Fire Hydrant Agreement.
Yeah,
Are you presenting that?
I can do that.
Okay.
So as you know, PD and City of Sedro-Woolley entered into an agreement in October of last year to transfer the ownership and ongoing maintenance. And so our crews went out and looked at different hydrants that needed repair and identified those. Apparently they found one more that needed to be replaced. And so we needed to make an amendment to the original agreement. And so that's what we're looking for tonight, is authorization for the general manager to amend that. And we will get reimbursed for the cost of replacement of that hydrant.
And that hydrant hasn't been replaced yet, right? It has to go to council and the council has to approve the amended and then, okay.
All right. So what's your pleasure on the agreements?
On motion, we allow the general manager to update the Sedro-Woolley Fire Hydrant Agreement.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is adopted.
Thank you.
Looks like next up, we have a recommendation to award the West Mount Vernon Pipeline Replacement Project.
Thank you, commissioners. This project is part of our scheduled pipeline replacement program. Is originally slated to go fall of 2023, but because our Skagit Country Club project kind of fell back for some reasons, we decided that this one's going to fall back too, as well as being in the winter, hoping to get cheaper prices, material prices, and more contractors to bid on the project. This project is a replacement of 4 and 6 inch AC and PVC with C909, and it will help with pressures, sustaining pressures, and fire flow in the event of fire flow. There's a 400-foot section in the county that we're going to let our crews do. The main reason behind that is the county and the city have different tax rates. So just to keep the bookkeeping easy, there's a small project for our crews to do. So they'll do that while the contractors in doing the bulk of the work in the city. We feel we had a great engineer's estimate. And as you can see, we had a few contractors show up, and we got a really decent low bid.
A great engineer's estimate and a great bid, so we like that.
More like that.
Yeah.
Is the engineer's estimate considered a bid? Because it says there's 16 bid proposals. So is that one of them and there's only 15 listed?
So we had 15 bidders come in on time.
Oh, okay.
And then
okay.
one bid came in, I think it was 2 minutes late. So we
Oh.
didn't even get to open it or see it. So
Okay. Seems like 16's been our number last. Couple. That's a big number. Very competitive. Great.
Questions?
Pleasure on awarding the contract.
Well, I move that we authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with, was it Colacurio?
Colacurio.
Colacurio Brothers in the amount of $659,097.34 for the construction of the West Mount Vernon pipeline replacement project.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is adopted,
Thank you.
or awarded, I should say. All right, next up is 2024 water rate updates. Right.
So this is just for information and to kind of close the loop. We have the resolution that was adopted in 2019 that adopted the overall increases for the district. That's what we based the finance plan on and the budget. And so in the middle of the memo there, you can see for the last year, the fixed rate increases basically are 5%. Tier 1 and 2 increases are 5%, and then tier 3 increases are 8.5%. And the purpose for that was to incentivize water conservation and eventually maybe have all equal rates. But when we started this program, the more water you use, the less it costs per unit. So that will continue into the last year of the resolution, which is 2024. The one item that is not part of the resolution that is separated out is the next section of the memo, and that is based on the Engineering News Record Construction Cost Index for Seattle based on November to November year-over-year increases. And so we wait for that portion to happen, and then I update the Appendix A, which is what I'm bringing forward tonight. Very surprised the November to November increase was only 0.89%. So that's only for Seattle and only for those months over the year. All through the year, it was much higher, obviously, with CPI, and then it came down throughout the year. But I was very surprised that it was a pretty small increase then that updated the tables in the rate manuals, which is table 8. And so I included for your information the original resolution and also then the comparison to what the Appendix A will be. It's already on the website. It's already been implemented. It was effective as of January 1st. And then also just to point out some other changes was the final table 9, which are kind of our broad general charges for new accounts and Snowbird. That activation is a $25. That is also updated based on the policy discussions that were approved earlier this year. The most significant is the $10 or 1% on all accounts, commercial and residential, which is being implemented as we speak. So I just wanted to point those out. And also, Andrew, the other one that we talked about is at page 48 of your agenda packet, the agricultural rate, the clarification that the ag rate does include, and it's for treated potable water through our infrastructure, so that in the future, if that needs to be part of the discussions for any water rates or charges for different rates for customers, that's in there. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any questions. A lot of that is just for documentation and just to close the loop like we did this every year. This is the last year, so during this year's discussions primarily around the budget, we can talk about the rates and what we need both from the cost structure and infrastructure that we are building, but also any rate policy discussions that you would like researched, and then do a rate study or a mini rate study if that's what we're looking forward for the year. So happy to answer any questions.
I just have a quick question. What was the cost index last year for 22?
Ooh,
And is this
will
is this substantially
double
lower
check.
from the last few years that it?
yeah, but it's not unusual. I will say that West Coast CPI tends to go up in the early June months, and so a lot of contracts use June. For whatever reason, November, we tail off, and especially in construction. It's not, I know that in prior years, it has been relatively low, and I will double check before the next meeting on what it was, but I think it was either 6.8 or 8 last year, so it was a big increase.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll double check that.
And
What-
what's the purpose of November? What is this?
That's what we have been using here, and maybe because it goes lower at that point.
I mean, I'm just
It's
curious.
very
I'm
strategic.
like,
Yeah, it's been that way since I started, and I don't know the premise for that. Mark, you have any idea why?
I think
Policy.
we have to,
Yeah, budget.
so that we can apply those numbers to the next year's budget.
It is the last month that is published or before
Last
that.
month available.
Yeah. But like for our COLA, we use June, similar reason, so that it can go into the budget. So we know what to have in expenses.
So we don't need to, it says action, but there's no action needed.
Unless you want me to do a picture or anything.
Nope.
Go for it.
Interpretive dance.
Dancing.
Not gonna do that.
Fair enough.
Okay, fine.
All right, so with that, looks like we have a couple informational items. There's the memo designating Kevin as the acting general manager in the absence of George. And the usual Judy Reservoir data report. Any commissioner comments this evening?
Good for me.
No.
And I have nothing for you. We will be convening into an executive session per RCW 42.30.110 to discuss potential litigation. The executive session is expected to last 15 minutes with no action after. Immediately following that, we will be convening into a closed session under RCW 42.30.140 to discuss collective bargaining. And that closed session is expected to last 20 to 30 minutes with no action after.
We should be done at 5:15 for the executive session.
Okay, so then the executive session should end at 5:15 and 5:25 to 5:35 for the closed session. Right. So with that, we will convene the executive session.
Okay.